mind with the word storytelling? What comes to your mind, guys? What is it? What is a storytelling? And then Omar is saying that someone is telling a story of himself. Okay, thank you. And then what else? That's a great approach. What else? What else can be, or what can you perceive whenever you hear storytelling? Okay, so we have Claudia.
When you're talking to someone or telling someone else any type of anecdote, either it can either be yours or someone else's.
Okay, so when you are telling yours, even yours or someone else's. Thank you. And Alan?
Well, I'm not very church sure about this, but I think that it can be like a graphic mode to tell a story. I think I'm basing in the image that I'm watching, but yes, I think.
Okay, and that's not me, maybe not far from what it is. Okay, so great job, guys. Um, Basically, storytelling, we can say that is this art of telling stories in order to engage the audience. So there could be different things or elements that can be considered in order to be a good storyteller. Um, have you had that type of people? And this is what I think when I hear that word. Um, that kind of people that whenever they tell you a story, you are like very attentive because you are so entertained about the story. They give you details, they tell you this, they make you imagine. So that it's kind of this art of engaging the audience that you are telling a story. Can be yours, can be someone else's. Okay, so do you like stories that are facts, real life stories, or fiction? And why? So, Wendy.
I like fiction because it's, well, for me it's most interesting. It's most mm, I like it more.
Okay, excellent. So, fiction. All right, Ismael.
I like both because I really like to hear and watch some story events or something like that, and I like fiction because I like fantasy and some stories that epic or I don't know some magic stories.
Okay, more magic stories, more in the fantasy, right? Excellent. Thank you so much, Ismael. All right. Now, next question. Do you like long or short stories? And why? So we have Claudia.
I do prefer long stories because I do like to read and like I think it gives you more of like descriptions and details about stuff more than you get on a short one.
Okay, maybe because we want to know more and more, right? Yes, Aaron?
Well, it could. In my case, I prefer ah 50-50. A long story and a short story. Only with the condition if the story has a good development.
Okay, so as long as it's a good story, it can be long, but if not, let's keep it short.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So, last question. Imagine that you have to go to the desert, that the only thing is that you will have water because you have to maintain yourself hydrated, but otherwise, the only thing that you could take are books. So, what books would you take with you if you went to the desert and had and nothing else but just water and the desert, and that's it? No friends, no nothing. Only that. What books do you think will be the ones that you would like to take? Alan?
Well, I first of all talk about Harry Potter, but I think that that's not a good idea if I want to survive. So I think that I would um, take like books that have like information of how to survive, something like that. I don't know.
Okay, so how to survive. Yeah, that's a good option. Um, yes, how to survive to the desert. I think that will be a good one. All right, thank you, Alan. Aaron, go for it.
Alan win me the idea. A book of about how to survive in the desert.
Okay, so maybe planting in the desert or how to get water, more water from the desert, how to, um, yeah. But if you would have been in the desert, obviously hydrated, not being so exposed to the sun, and maybe just something to relax, let's put that scenario. That way you don't feel like, oh God, I have to survive. So it's not gonna be maybe for days and days, but what things would you take? Would you take long story fiction books?
Maybe a book with some books with long stories.
Maybe long stories, right? Because we don't know. What if you stay there for the whole day? Just kidding. This is not something that we wish not to happen, right? It is so dangerous. Okay, so therefore, with all this being said, what is the topic for today? So what is it?
About stories, telling stories.
About telling stories, right? Yes. Thank you so much. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about stories, but we're gonna be actually writing one. So we will get through this along this chapter. So let's go ahead and see. Um First of all, we're gonna start with this picture right here. It's a cave painting. So I want for you to take a look on it, maybe see what kind of things can you see and what story do you think it tells? So what story do you think this painting is telling? Ismael.
Maybe how the cavemans hunt their meat.
Okay, maybe about hunting, right? Yes. Aaron?
Uh, talking maybe they are talking about why they're doing or in a specific day or their daily routine.
Okay, maybe talking about daily routine, something about their day, how's their day going? Okay, excellent. So we can see that not only people can tell stories and not only books can tell stories, also paintings do as well. So we can have or we can think about storytelling not only specific to writing or talking, but also painting, right? Everything that has a story, it's considered a storytelling. It all depends on the way, the art of doing it. So this can be some sort of art in a way, right? Let's move on. Now, here we have on page 50, 50, 51. I think it's 50. We have an article that talks about a good storytelling, okay? So here they're going to mention that we need to have 4S, okay? So there are four things that we need to consider whenever we are telling a story. So here we have the author or the person that gives those tips and the person who is asking this interview. Okay, so author Q&A, the art of storytelling. Everyone loves a good story. Why? And what makes a good story? I discussed the topic with author Rhonda Howard. So Rhonda Howard, it's gonna give us some tips, some specific elements that maybe a good storytelling has. Okay, so I would need in this case two people to help me out reading it, reading the whole article. As you can see, it's like the question, the person that makes the questions, and then the one that answers back, or the author. So, Aaron, you will be Q, and then Alan, you will be A. Go for it.
Uh, why do people like stories?
A story makes you feel like you are experiencing something, and people enjoy this. Storytelling is very old. Think of cave paintings. Those are examples of people sharing stories in a very simple way.
But our stories are more complicated today, right?
Well, not always. And sometimes the best stories are simple ones.
Speak, speaking of the best stories, what what makes a story good?
I narrowed down for to the four S of storytelling. We already talked about the first S, simple. People often like stories with ideas and language, that are easy to understand. We discussed the second S, to shared experiences. People don't need to actually experience the events in the story, but they want to feel like they did. And this leads us to a famous storytelling as show, don't tell.
I heard that. What does it mean?
Here is a quick example. Jorge was walking into his house when he saw an animal. That's telling Jorge was nervously walking into his dark living room when two large yellow eyes appeared in front of him. That's showing.
I I get it. I feel like I was walking with George in the second example.
Exactly.
So, what's the 4S?
Surprise! People love surprises, especially at the end of the story.
All right, excellent job, guys. Thank you so much. So here we can see that the author gives us some kind of tips or things that good storytelling should have. So in this matter, now that we have read the article, what are the 4S that they mentioned? What are the 4S? Ismael?
The story must be simple, shared experiences, show, and surprise.
Excellent. So simple, shared experiences, show, don't tell, and surprise. Excellent job. Now, moving forward, I know that we cannot see the questions right here because my bar here from my computer, it's blocking it. But why do people like stories? According to the article, why do people like stories? Why do people like stories? Based on what the article says. If you need to read back the article, go ahead and do so. So, why do people like stories in the first place? Ismael.
Because a story makes you feel like you are experiencing something.
Yes, excellent. So, this makes you feel like if you were the actual one that it's experienced something. So, people just love this. And then the second question that I have for you is what makes a good story good? So, what makes a good story according to the article? So according to the article, what makes a good story? Alan?
Well, it has to contain the four S's.
Okay, so it has to contain the 4 S's. All right. In a way, we can recap that and say also like simple ideas, right? The first S is about simple. Keep it simple, easy understanding. Sharing experiences. Maybe we don't have experienced that, but just by them sharing their own experiences can make us think about if we were in that position. Um, show, not don't tell. It's also another way because it gives us like this more detailed way of understanding of what's going on in the scene, right? It's not the same of saying, I was walking into the house when I saw an animal. Okay, that's nothing like, I don't know. It's just, you can imagine just anything. But then if they tell you, I was nervously walking into this dark living room, and then you start to imagine like the living room, the darkness, yourself even walking, and then some yellow eyes appeared in front of him, and then you're just curious, was it a monster? Was it a ghost? Was it a something else, right? An alien? I don't know. So yeah, um, giving details, it's very very important when writing a story, because that can lead to the person to experience what they are telling. And then surprise, most of these surprises come more towards the end. So let's move on. Now here we have an example of a short story. Obviously, we're not going to look into a long one, but here we have a short story. It is called The Monster in the Woods, and it's by Hannah Miller. So one of the things I want for you to identify while reading, it's how did the different characters in the story feel. So let's see what feelings were involved in this story. And then also, what was the monster in the woods? We're going to discover at the end who was the monster in the woods, okay? One person that can help me out, um, even given this dramatic sensation on the story, David Navarrete, go ahead.
Of course, miss. So, The Monster in the Woods by Hannah Miller. When I was 15, I loved reading short stories about monsters. It was summer, and my family and I were on vacation near a lake. One evening, they went down to the beach to meet friends for a barbecue. I was reading a monster story and wanted to finish before the barbecue, so they left me behind. And 1 hour later, my brother David came to get me. And we started walking to the beach. It was totally dark. It was telling David about the awful monster in the story, a huge, black, animal like monster. We were both frightened by the story and the dark night. Then suddenly, out of the trees right beside us, a huge, black, animal like monster appeared. We screamed and screamed. While we were screaming, my father ran to us. Then we told him our horrible story. And what did he do? He laughed because standing in the distance was King, our neighbor's dog. He was black and very big, but definitely not a monster.
All right, excellent job. Give an applause to David. He did a great job. Thank you so much, David. Excellent. And well, we can see that, and even David make like this emphasis, right? A huge black animal-like monster. So first of all, what or how the different characters in the story feel? What were the feelings that were involved in this story among the characters? So let's start from there. What was the feeling of the characters along the story? So what are those feelings? They were scared, right? They were scared. How about towards the end of the story? So first they were scared, but then towards the end of the story, they were what? They felt relieved, right? Yes. Thank you, Omar. Okay, so maybe at the beginning, some of the characters were frightened, right? Were frightened by the idea of this monster in the woods. But then later, they found out that it was just a dog, right? Oh, and by the way, I'm sorry. I think I spoiled the last question. So the monster in the woods ended up being the actual dog from the neighbor, I believe. So now I want for you to tell me, did they use all the four S that they mentioned on the first article? So let's go one by one, okay? So let's go to simple. The first one is simple. Did they kept the text in a simple, easy language? And how can you prove that? So you need to tell me an argument based on the story. Why is it that they did use the simple point? So think about the four S. Did they kind of accomplish with the four of them? Did the author actually use all four S in this short story of the monster in the woods? So simple. The first one was simple. Did it keep a simple text? Yes, no, and why? Tell me some argument. Wendy?
I think yes, because uh, the words in the text are simple and the words are words we use it every day. So I think yes.
Okay, excellent. So yes, we could say that they are very understandable. All right. Now the second one was shared experiences. Do you think the author and Hannah Miller did use the shared experience point? So what about shared experiences? Do you think that they did include the point of shared experiences in this text, in the monster in the woods?
Yes, the Sharon definitely is sharing experience by Hannah.
Okay, and what way is she sharing experience? Maybe well, I see it like this. So maybe she's sharing her story, but maybe in a way we were kind of related that sometimes we know that dogs also get to be on our neighbors' houses, or uh, there's sometimes like this suspense of not knowing where that noise is coming from, what it is, things like that. So maybe in that way Hannah Miller kind of shared that experience with all the audience, and at the same time, we could say that it was something that we all had in common. She found the way to make us, even though we didn't have that exact same experience, something related to that we had. So maybe that's the way I understand it. Maybe I can be wrong, but yes, thank you so much. Now, what about so we said simple, shared experience. What about show, don't tell? Did they use show, don't tell or not? And how? So show, don't tell. How was it that Hannah Miller include this part or this point from the article? How did she show it in her short story? So what we would say that Hannah Miller did use the show, don't tell point from the article. Remember what that was? No one? Well, in this case, hello, hello. Okay. Do you want to say something, Pablo?
Um, no, no, not here. Sorry.
Okay. So in this case, she did tell about the show Don't Tell. Why? Because she's describing the monster, right? She's saying a huge black animal-like monster. It was not this, it wouldn't be the same to say, oh, and I saw a monster, or oh, I just saw a dog. No, she kind of put that cream on her tacos and said like a huge, a black, an animal-like monster to give more drama, to give a little bit of more emphasis. So, whenever they tell you about the show, don't tell, it's because they are talking about the details that you give to the situation in order for the reader to imagine, or even to the audience in general to imagine, right? We know that storytelling, it's not about only writing, it's about talking, it's about painting. So in this case, we were able to see the show Don't Tell by looking at the details, the description of the characters, of the places, like in, for example, let's see, where else? It was totally dark, and I was telling David about the awful monster in the story. So it was totally dark. You can imagine like a very, very dark place. Not only because there is no sun, but a terrifying, even dark place, right? So that's what they mean. Give as much as details as possible so that people can imagine and share that experience that they are talking about, okay? And the last point was surprise. Was there a surprise in this story? Wendy.
Yes, because in the end of the story was something unexpected. Uh, Unexpected, I think, is the word.
Yes. So at the end, it was something unexpected. It was not an animal-like monster. It was just a neighbor's dog. So usually, and I don't know if that had happened to you, that usually at the beginning of the story you're thinking, oh no, it's this and that, or no, maybe the guilty person, it's this and that, and then there is this kind of turnout of the situation in which it ends up being something else, something that you didn't even imagine. So that's the way of surprise. So surprising ending, right? uh Someone is playing with our minds. We might thought something at the beginning, and then at the end, that happens. Everything turns around and everything changes. So if you think about all the stories, all the series, all the movies, books, even novelas, everything, they all have this kind of turnout part of the story, which at the end it comes something unexpected. I wouldn't say novelas because we always know that the rich and the poor gets together, have family, live happy forever. That's the only one that I think it wouldn't have a surprise ending. We always know that they will end up getting married, right? But there are other stories. I don't know. It came to my mind like uh which series I was watching. There was this series about that it was called Maid, and it was about this young lady that had a baby with with her boyfriend, and then his boyfriend was very aggressive on her, not physically, but in another way. So she tried as hard to get out of her house to be able to be independent, but then money wise, stable life comes into play. So it's a very good series. It's very short, but I think it's a very good one to watch. I watched it on Netflix. Not doing advertising or anything. It's just that I like the story, and it did really have something different that was expected. So, and then we have, okay, the Rosa de Guadalupe, yeah. And then the Rose and everything, yeah, definitely, Omar. Okay, guys, let's continue then. So for some writing skills and specifically for the story, we have different kind of expressions that we can use in order to um, kind of have a more fluent reading, okay? So for example, we can use different kinds of expressions to describe when the story happened in general. So we have something like when I was 15, that takes the reader like thinking about, oh, whenever you're 15, you do this, this, and that. So maybe there's kind of connection. So it kind of gives you more of a sensation of time in the story. Or it was summer, and if they tell you it was summer, um you can imagine like the hot weather. You can imagine how even people dressing in a certain way depending on how the temperature was. It can be something else to take into consideration when writing stories. um Maybe saying when the particular events happen, one evening, an hour later, that can give again the sense of time for the reader to know around what time this happened. Obviously, I was having breakfast. Well, we know that it's on the evening, almost I mean in the morning, not at night, right? So giving you the sensation of time, of weather, those can be some keywords that can make a more fluent and a more smooth story. And then describing a scene, it was totally dark, right? Describing, remember, giving details as much as possible so that we can be able to imagine what's happening in your story. And then the word then, I see it more like transition words that we can use. Remember when we did this assignment of the email of transition word use? So transition words that show like this chronological order of the story. First, there was this gentleman right here doing this and that, and then this happened. But after that, something else happened. Then finally, or at the end, this person did this and that, and it ended up doing this or something. So using transition words in order to show kind of the chronological order of the events will help a lot to a story, for a good story. So any questions about this, guys, so far? Questions or questions? The teacher talks too much? Any comments, complaints? Thumbs up if everything is good. All right. Okay, so let me go ahead and take roll. I'm gonna take roll. Let's see who is in the house. Yvette. Aaron.
Present.
Present, teacher.
Thank you, thank you. Paola.
Present, teacher.
Perfect. Samuel. Daniela. Jonathan.
Present.
Thank you, David Montañez. Thank you, Iván Muruato.
Present.
Thank you, Armando.
Present.
Thank you, Octavio. Jasmine. Thank you, David Navarrete.
Present, Miss.
Thank you, Claudia.
Here, Miss.
Perfect. Anelis. Pablo.
Present.
Thank you, Alan.
Here.
Thank you, Wendy.
Present.
Excellent. Omar. Thank you, Ismael.
I'm here, Miss, but I'm suffering disconnections very often.
I know, I know. I've heard that the internet, particularly today, it's been failing a lot. So yeah, I understand. Don't worry. Thank you for being here as long as the internet lets you. So don't worry about it. I know that Omar is experiencing some of these issues too. And Fernando.
Here, teacher.
Awesome. So I'm missing Samuel, Daniela, Octavio, and Annelies, or Annelies, I'm sorry. All right, let me register the assistants and we will move on. So Daniela, Samuel, Octavio, and Annelies. Okay. All right, guys. And from now on, I'm going to be doing this just to make sure that everyone is attentive to class because I've seen, and I'm not saying anyone in specific, but I've seen that people gets connected at the beginning and then just disappears all of a sudden throughout the whole class. So it is very necessary if you don't want to be the whole class, well, you can take the course next semester, and I think that will be fair for all of us that are here every single day, right? So from now on, don't expect for me taking role at the beginning. I can take it in the middle of class, I can take it at the end of the class, or at the beginning, somewhere around, okay? So we can make sure to be attentive. And well, that was it for attendance. So let's move on. One of the things I want to review for this week and not let it go is about writing tests. What I've noticed on the writing test is that some people are still forgetting kind of the periods, capital letters, when to use a comma, when not to use a comma. So remember, let's always keep on the task of keeping up with punctuation, capital letters, so that way we can have an even better better writing skills, right? So I've always mentioned that our writing, it's also a way of giving impression to someone else. What if a person just sends whatever the person wants to write about, and then without noticing on the details, without caring maybe about what you write, and just send the work just with whatever. So it is very, very important to always be on top of getting the right punctuation, the right capitalization, because that can even affect your image, right? But Miss, how would it affect it? Well, yes, it can. Because imagine if your boss receives an email that they don't see why you are having so much misspelling, not enough periods, things like that, they will say something like, oh, this person it's like not caring too much about what he or she does because he or she is not even taking the time to edit what he writes or what she writes. So that's why my intention of be consistently talking to you about punctuation and capital letters, because it is something that will help you a lot, not only in English but in Spanish too. Um, well, that's what I think, right? So why don't we go ahead and put capital letters, periods, and commas? That's the only punctuation we're going to work today with. I will give you 5 to 10 minutes, and once you are done, just post it on the chat and I will count it as participation. After we're done with it, I will show you the actual correct or the better form to kind of edit this text, okay? This fragment is taken by George Orwell in his book of 1984. Um, please don't cheat. I know that it's very, very easy to go to Google and then just look up the punctuation and that's it. But try to put some effort on this, guys. This is something that will help you along the way because there are things that internet cannot do for us. So it is always good to give our best and to be honest with ourselves. Okay. Go ahead and work on it. 5 to 10 minutes. It's 2:17. So maybe before 2:27, we will finish. Okay. And I will show you the correct one. So go ahead and work on it. You can share it on the chat once you're done, and I will be here for any questions. All right, so I see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, maybe 3 more people, and then we can share the answers. That way we can go with our next activity. And this kind of exercises, I always see them as opportunities to improve, right? Maybe we can see what things we have to consider, even if we have questions at this moment about the answers. That is also good to see, because it's a way that you are kind of becoming aware and maybe more informed of why is it this way and not this way. So once I share it, guys, make sure to, if you have questions, also to ask those questions. Okay, so great job. I think the majority are sharing them it now. Okay, so here it is, the actual way of writing it. So we can see that we have a capital letter. I noticed that there was, I cannot remember who it was, obviously, and if I remember, I wouldn't say who, but don't capitalize the pronoun he. The only pronoun that has to be capitalized, it's the pronoun I. And that is the only one that, whether it goes at the beginning, at the middle of the sentence, or towards the end, it will always be capitalized. Pronouns or everything else will be only capitalized only if it's at the beginning of the sentence. So in this case, he put the diary. We can see that it's capitalized. Why? Because it's at the beginning, right? Then we have a period. Then we have a comma. Here we have the conjunction but. So remember that every time that we have a conjunction, the comma goes before the conjunction, okay? Before. Whenever you say because, remember that for that we don't need to kind of put a comma, because doesn't have a comma. That is not a conjunction, okay? Then we have a period after discovered. Again, we capitalize everything that goes after a period. Obvious, again, period, capitalize the W. On this last sentence, as you can see, it was a very long sentence. One of the things that I've been watching is that maybe it doesn't mean that you have to add a period all the times, but you have to be wise on when to add a comma. Sometimes we overuse and we abuse the use of commas in the sentences. So let's keep it simple. Let's keep it like 1 or 2, depending on the situation. In this case, we were able to see like this whole sentence and then a comma, and then where it was bound to be shaken off in the book was moved. Okay, so there is some particular cases and there is an exception, but we will have to address them according to the context. But otherwise, this can be a way that we can write this segment. I don't know if you have a question, guys. Any detail that you want to know, or if everything is okay, thumbs up. So Wendy.
It's not about punctuation, but what is drawer?
Okay, drawer. Where does it say that? Let me read it.
It's in the sentence, teacher.
In the first sentence. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. He put the diary away in the drawer. It's like this. I don't know how to explain it in English, but in Spanish, it's like you know how sometimes there are some desks, and that they have like a small. Well, in Spanish, it's cajón, but that is the drawer, like where you can put in like documents or papers, things like that from a desk.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's like a cajon, I think in Spanish. I don't know. But a drawer, it's what the desk has in order to put some paper, some um stuff like office stuff. So, yes, that's a good one. And by the way, actually, you can also get words from here from the text and write them down in your vocabulary and look for them because it is always good to see the context, see a word that maybe you're not familiar with, and then look it up in the dictionary. So, if you want to take some words from here that you say, hey, I don't even know what they mean by this on this segment. So, go ahead and write them down and look for them. I do encourage you to do that all the time that you see words that you're not familiar with. All right, so then let's go ahead and move on to the last activity, guys. So for our last activity, actually, we are the ones that are going to become storytellers, okay? So I want for you to write a short story, just like the one of the monster in the woods, obviously something that you can come up with or even something that you have experienced, right? Think about some experience that you had and then think about those possible ways of telling that story to sound more dramatic, more uh, to sound more like you want to engage as an audience, okay? Don't forget to use the 4S's, right? The simple vocabulary, um, shared experience, an experience that you want to share with someone and maybe even make them feel that they are on that experience as well by adding details, which is the show, don't tell. Remember adding details, describing the characters, the places, anything will help a lot for the engagement of the people. Also, another tip that they give us is that you can repeat a verb 2 times in order to make an impact on the story. So, for example, here they say, we screamed and screamed, like so poetic, so much of effort that the person was doing. So you can even exaggerate it by adding, repeating the verb. Or even here, they ate and ate until they were full. So that means they ate a lot, that they were basically full, right? But in order to sound more dramatic, think about a gossip, right? When you gossip, you even put like that cream on the taco and even add more things so that that gossip sounds like more interesting to the other person. So think about it like that. Try to add as many details as possible. Don't forget to use the 4S, and then it has to be minimum of 2 paragraphs, your story, okay? So start thinking about the story. I will open this assignment for you to be for it to be delivered on this day. I will leave it open until 11:59, but let's take advantage of this time. So go ahead and work on it, on the storytelling, and then I will open the assignment. And once you're done, you can leave class. And if time's up, well, obviously you have it for homework, but you can work on it right now. Aaron, go for it.
Yes, teacher. I don't know how to say this word in Spanish, but we can inventar the story.
Yes, and the translation for that, it's like make it up. When you say
Make it up.
make it up, like maybe not a true story, but something you are just formulating from your mind. So yeah, inventar, it's the same as make it up.
Okay, teacher. Thank you.
Welcome.
Yes, this
Any other
activity is as a team or individually?
This is an individual activity. Yeah.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, no problem. Well, if you have any question, go ahead and tell me, okay? I will be here on the call just in case you need me. If you are done, just upload it to the segment that I'm about to create. And if you want, just say something on the chat that you learned today in class and you can leave, okay? So let's go to work. All right, guys. Well, it is almost the end of the class, so I will go ahead and dismiss your class, and we will see you guys on Monday. If you want to leave a comment about something that we saw today in the class, you are more than welcome to do so. And if not, it's okay. It's not obligatory. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, guys. Don't forget, Log 3, it's due on Monday. And also Cambridge, it's due on, well, not on Monday, but on Sunday. So make sure to be on top of those two things that we have for this week. Otherwise, thank you so much for being here today, guys. And I'll see you guys on Monday. Have an excellent weekend.
Thank you, Miss. See you Monday.
See you Monday. Bye bye.
Thank you, teacher. Oh,
Thank you,
teacher.
guys.
Thank you, Miss. See you. Take
Bef-
care.
uh,
See you. Bye bye.
before I go, teacher, I send you the evidence about Unit 4 in Cambridge.
That's great. Yes, I'm going to be checking that on the chat for today, and then tomorrow I can update your grade. Okay? Well, today as well. So
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you, teacher.
thank you, Aaron,
See you
for
next
that,
Monday.
and see you next Monday. Bye bye.
Bye.
Teacher,
Alan, yes.
me too. I'm going to send you right now the evidence from the fourth of the five assignments.
Okay, that's fantastic. Yes, send it, please. I will be checking my chat for all those things about Cambridge.
Okay. I have a doubt. The score that it appears in my Cambridge of each assignment is the score that you're going to put in the um, evaluation.
Yes, I'm actually taking into account that um, whatever it appears or whatever average you get, it's the one that I'm adding to your final grade.
Okay, perfect, teacher. Thank you.
Sounds great. Thank you so much, Alan, and thank you, everyone. Enjoy your day.
You too, teacher.
Teacher,
Yes.
I have a question for the log. I don't understand what about. So we are going to use only one of the topic that we see on the unit.
Yes. You can use if you want to use all of them, if you want to use only two, but the least that you can have it's only one. So yeah, you can just focus on one.
Oh, okay. Thank you, teacher. See you Monday.
You're welcome. See you on Monday, Fernando. Have a good one.